Hey everyone, this is Lori Fetrick, and I have a special announcement right now, and that is this. So really pay attention if you can. And that is if you go in and you rate and review my podcast, what I'm going to do is I am randomly going to choose one person per month. Yes, one person per month I'm going to grab, and I'm going to have you come on to my podcast, and we're going to do a rapid fire. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It'll get some audience participation out there, and I want to give back. So this is me giving back to my audience. So please go rate, review my podcast, and I will pick at random one person per month to come on my podcast and do a rapid fire. So thank you so much, and go right now and rate and review.
We are chilling with Ice.
Hey, welcome back to Chilling with Ice. This is Lori Fetrick, and I am extremely excited about today's guest. I actually met him over at the Adam Carolla Christmas party, and we just hit it off like you would not believe. There's a funny-ass story behind that, which we're going to get into. And he is an actor, comedian, stand-up. He opens for so many big acts, and I know that he is going to have his own special. Wait a minute, have you actually had your own special yet, Rudy?
Nah,
we're working to it.
Nobody's betting on me yet.
Bullshit. Yeah, we're coming up to that. So we've got I was going to say in the studio, but he's not in the studio. He's on my Zoom because he's back in somewhere where it is colder than shit and it is snowing. And thank God I am not back there. And that was it not Wisconsin? What'd you say? Where are you at now, Rudy?
Well, now I live in Minneapolis. I'm originally from northern Minnesota, like an hour and 10 minutes north of Duluth.
All I know is there's a shit ton of snow back there. But welcome, Rudy Pavich. And I am extremely excited to have him. So thank you so much. This man is funny, stand-up comedian. And let's go to where I met you. And that's the Adam Carolla party.
Oh my God. Every time I think about this, I just want to curl up into a ball and then just shove myself into a mail slot.
But
and
it was
never be
so
I know.
perfect and funny. And it was just, okay. I'm going to let you go ahead and I'm going to interject on how that went down. But I'm going to, let's start how that went down.
Okay. Well, first off, it starts with us we got to the Adam Carolla studios at like 4 p.m. So it starts with us already having drinks early. So my mind is not in the right place already. And
That's it. Blame it on the drinks right away. Rudy.
Yeah. It's like celebrity overload for me because I'm just now like starting to break through. It's probably been like 2 years where I'm like, and especially living in Minnesota, it's so hard in the industry to meet people and to network and to be out there. So I'm there and, Ice from American Gladiators and Tia Carrera and Jeff Leach and Adam Carolla and Kid from Kid and Play and freaking Jacques. Are you kidding me, Jacques? I'm literally eating from the same Dorito bowl as Jacques. I'm like, this is insanity. So my brain's going a million miles an hour and I see you with a group of people. And obviously I've been a big fan for a long time. And I loved the episode that you did with Adam. It was very insightful and it was at the right time because I had just watched Muscles and Mayhem. And so, you're on my mind. And then I see the episode, I go to the party, you're there. And I walk up and I introduce myself and I'm like, hey, big fan, love the documentary. We start chatting it up. And there is a woman who is standing next to you. And I had known that you were definitely into the ladies. So there's a woman who is standing next to you who is strikingly beautiful, who obviously I am like, wow. But the way that your body language is towards her, I'm like, oh, that must be her girlfriend. Obviously, it must be. So I then ask, I go, oh, so how long have you guys, kind of known each other? Wink, wink, knowing each other. How long have you guys been dating is, the code.
Yeah, that's exactly how I heard it too.
Yeah. And the girl that we're chatting with says, oh, we met was it a Comic-Con you guys met at in Chicago?
Yeah, I met her at the Comic-Con in New York.
New York, that's what it was. Yes. So you guys. So she goes, we met at the Comic-Con. I was like, oh, right on. So how long has this been going on? And Lori's brain kicks in right away and is like, oh wait, Dum Dum thinks that I'm with this person, which she is not. She goes, oh yeah.
Which was Crystal Hefner, by the way.
Crystal Hefner, yeah. So I was going to get to that, yes. But then you go, oh, by the way, so this is Crystal Hefner. And this is my girlfriend. And then you pull your girlfriend over and I'm like, shit, I'm such a moron. I was like, but as I said to you after we got done talking, that is a testament to how, vivacious and young and good looking you are, is that you can still get somebody like a Crystal Hefner.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
To add insult to injury, I go, Crystal Hefner. And then Lori had said something to the effect of, yep, that Hefner. And I go, hey, big fan of your dad's work.
You're like, ding, 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 ding. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. I looked it up when I got home. Not his daughter.
Not daddy. Not daddy.
Yeah. Kind of a daddy if you think about it. But
exactly, on another level, daddy.
I was like, it was funny because I was telling all my friends, I'm like, I was hanging out with Hugh Hefner's daughter, man. And then I looked her up on Sunday night when I got back to town. And I told my girlfriend, I'm like, oh my God, you're never going to believe this. It's not her daughter.
It's like, holy shit.
It was his wife. And then when I read that on the internet that they were married, my stomach sank. And I'm like, well, first off, I felt like an asshole.
Well, first off, okay, well, here's the thing. She didn't hear that. Okay,
no, she did. Cool, you're right. She didn't hear
because
that.
Because it was crowded. It was busy. It was, people were talking loud. So, and she had a conversation going on with us and at the same time with my girlfriend and her friend, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And so when you actually said that, it was funny because I picked up on that and I was like, oh shit, he thinks that we're together. And I was like, no, this is, kind of thing. And I kind of buffered it really fast.
Yeah.
And it's not that anything that is bad, but at the same time, I didn't want her to think just because she was standing next to me that automatically she got labeled as my girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah. So, talk about social awareness that you were so fast to pick up on the fact that and of course, I'm just like, yeah, it's totally fine, whatever. But, of course, you wake up the next day with that anxiety of like, oh, God, I must have looked like a jerk.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I thought that was so funny, to be quite honest with you. And then you and I just picked up from there and just the rest of the evening, we just started talking and it was so much fun.
Yeah. I remember you and I running out the door because you wanted to go meet Tia Carrera.
Yes.
And when we were walking by, we were laughing and Corolla went, oh boy. He gave that look like, oh, these two now. Oh, great. Now we got to put up, first off, they're a goddamn handful on their own. And now we got to put up with them together.
Exactly. So now you're touring right now or you're around with Adam Carolla. You're opening for him.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough. I've been working for Adam now behind the scenes for like probably 2-3 years. And then I met up with him luckily, because we're all dumb Americans, we don't know our country at all, where geography is. Somebody from his team had hit him up because I live in Minneapolis and he was in Oklahoma City doing shows. Somebody said, hey, why don't you drive on over and do like a 5-minute guest set? Yeah, just drive on over to Oklahoma City.
How many hours is that?
Yeah, it's like 14 and a half. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And I thought, I'm a big believer in bet on yourself. Mm-hmm. So I thought, all right, you gotta roll the dice, man. So I booked a flight. I went down there. I got there. They were like, hey, are you the host? I said, nope. And they went, oh, well, we don't have a host. Do you want a host? And I went, absolutely.
Oh my God.
And I ended up hosting 5 shows for Adam. And then after that weekend, he had hit me up and just said, hey, man, just look at my schedule, pick any dates that you want. You're more than welcome to come along. And I pull my weight when I'm on the road with him, too. Like, I know that, I'm fortunate enough to have guys like that, people who are higher up the ladder that help bring you up the ladder as well. But, when I'm on the road with him, I record all the sets. 2 cameras. I record all the audio. I cut all the clips. I sell all the merch. I'm the liaison between like his team and the club. Like, I'm not like one of these guys who's just like, just sucking off the teat of the Adam Carolla name and just getting free drinks.
You're working it, man.
Yeah. Like and there's definitely people in the Minneapolis scene here that will say like, he only takes you out because you do all this shit for him. You still have to be good to get on stage.
Hell you do.
Yeah. Michael Yo, who I just love. Do you know Michael Yo?
I know the name.
Okay. Yeah. Michael Yo is he's like salt of the earth guy. And Michael Yo got a lot of heat right away because he came from entertainment reporting and radio. And he was getting to go on the road with Joe Coy. And people would say like, oh man, you're only making it because Joe Coy Joe Coy does not just bring anybody on the road. Joe Coy wants somebody who's a killer. And he looked at Michael as, hey, man, yeah, you are a little rough around the edges, but we can clean that up. And now Michael Yo is, selling out 6 shows a weekend in every city he goes to, and he's killing it. So you still have to be good. It just,
you do.
Yeah.
So you've been, I read something about you, and you said there was something about when you were 5 years old, you told your first joke and you were like, that's it.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about that. Tell me about your growing up as a kid and getting into comedy. What was it that struck you that went, oh my God, this is my life path?
Yeah. Well, I was a little pudgy growing up and still am. I yo-yo in and out of it.
So not, whatever.
Yeah, I yo-yo in and out of it, But I was a little pudgy when I was growing up, and I just really clamored on to comedy. Like that was the thing. And, and I tried to do sports, and I was a good football player up until like about 9th grade, because I was bigger than everybody. Mm. And then I stopped growing around 5'6", and everybody just kept shooting up. So by the time I got to 11th grade, I was out there just getting my ass kicked all the time.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, obviously sports is not going to be my thing. And I started like getting into playing guitar and doing theater, or wanting to do theater. But I'm from northern Minnesota in a small town. So doing anything that is not, hunting, fishing.
So not like a lot of theater is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And I was at that age where I was so afraid of what other people thought of me that I was like, oh, I can't do theater.
Yeah.
I can't go out and play a show. I can't go play covers at a coffee shop. But what if people make fun of me? Now you look back on that and go, what a dumb way to live. And
it's who we are when we're young, though. It's who we are when you're young, man. That's the last thing you want is people to make fun of you. You're trying to find your way.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny now because I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she was a gymnast for a long time. And we were for whatever reason, I just remember having this thought. We were at her gymnastics practice, and as we were leaving, she had changed into her leotard and then was walking out with her clothes. And then on the outside of her clothes, her underwear was just sitting there. And I'm like, hey, you want to wrap that up? And she looked at me, and this is when she's 11 maybe. And she goes, why? And I thought, if I was 11 years old and my friends saw my underwear, social suicide. You'll never battle back. Like you'll always be marked as the
underwear man.
But like the kids nowadays don't have that anymore. Like their judgment towards others, they've been brought up in this society of like, you can't judge. You're not allowed to judge. And I'm sure it's still in there, but it's definitely, I see such a huge difference hanging out with my daughter and her friends and seeing how they interact with one another I had 2 felonies by the time I was my daughter's age.
Oh my God. I was arrested a couple times by the time I was 16. For stealing and warrants for driving too fast. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's wildly different. But to get into comedy, there's no open mics, there's no clubs in northern Minnesota. Like you're never going to do stand up. But I used to watch A&E's Evening at the Improv. Religiously, I watched that show every single weekend. And on it, and it's funny because now I've been going back and rewatching all the episodes on Amazon Prime, and they have all of the, they have every episode, and you're back and you're finding old Dave Chappelle.
I was just going to ask you, who was your favorite back then?
Yeah. And I didn't know any of these guys. I just knew that they were comedians and they were on stage and they were funny. And
who was your favorite, Rudy?
I don't have any. I can't remember any names from back then. No, but now that I'm going back and I'm rewatching it, I'm like, oh my God, there's Dave Chappelle, there's Doug Stanhope, there's, I'm just rattling off people where I go, now I know who they are. But when I was 11, I was just like, that's a funny dude. But I loved more like movies. I loved Ghostbusters. I was a huge Ghostbusters kid, so I loved Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. I didn't get into George Carlin until I was like 14 when I saw his first HBO.
George was awesome. I remember George. My parents used to listen to George.
Same, yeah.
Did your parents just listen?
Absolutely. Every single HBO special. In fact, I saw him in Fort Worth, Texas a few months before he died. That was the best comedy show, best like $300 that my dad and I had ever spent, and it was amazing.
I remember
he's still relevant today too.
Well, yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. And I remember he was so, considered crude back then that my parents wouldn't let us listen to him. They'd be like, oh, no, you can't listen to him. Especially when he went through his, I can't even remember it. It was a shit, piss, fuck kind of that whole.
Shit, 7 words. Blink-182 actually did something on it. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, twat.
Very good.
That is good.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But
also props to another Blink-182 fan. I thought we were like on our own island there for a while.
You guys are.
Tough to find 43-year-olds. Tough to find 43-year-olds who are super into Blink-182. But hey, man.
But yeah, okay. So when you're going back and watching all the improvs and you're seeing all these different comedians and everything, I mean, is that where you kind of started picking things up?
Yeah. So I would write the jokes down because there was no internet. I would write jokes down on a piece of paper and then go back to school on Monday and drop it like it was my own. And then people were like, this kid's a comedic genius. And then 5th grade, I did the talent show and I lifted a guy's set. I had written a guy's set down and I don't remember most of the set, but I do remember a couple of the jokes because it was like 1992. Must have been 5th grade. It was definitely 5th grade. And one of the jokes was, we were in the middle of Desert Storm. So here I am, 11 years old, on stage at a Catholic school doing Desert Storm jokes. Like what? On what planet? So I remember one of the jokes was something like, why do they send 18-year-old kids to go fight wars? Who really should be fighting wars are the people who work at Disneyland. They're already used to being in those hot suits with 50 pounds of gear on their back. Could you imagine 5,000 goofies running out of a sand dune? I remember that joke killed. And now I've been going back and rewatching all the old episodes so I can find whose set that was because I don't have a name. And I've been religiously like twice a week sitting down and watching old episodes one by one to see if I can find who that was and hit him up and go, hey man, if you're still doing comedy, we got to meet because whoever you are, you put my life in a different direction. Cause my family, we owned a roofing and siding business. So I grew up, putting in windows and, hauling shingles, soffit fascia, all that stuff. And I just knew that was never going to be my.
You didn't want to be a construction worker.
Nah. In fact, my grandfather, when I was right before he passed away, I was 17 and I was on a roof with him one day. And he said, you got to leave the family business. And I go, why? And he goes, there's other things. He's like, you're a creative kid.
Yeah.
You're funny. He's like, you draw, you play guitar. Like, this is never going to be your life. He goes, what I really think you should do is I think you should be a comedian. And I said, wow. I said, do you think I'm funny? And he said, well, I think you're a shitty roofer. But that's as far as it goes. And that's an honest to God true story. And then he had passed away like 6 months later. And I went, all right, I'm in. I think this is it. But then even when I had left my hometown and moved out, I got into radio. And then radio kind of became my thing because there was still no outlets for stand-up when I was, 18, 19. And then when I was 27, got into stand-up, did it for about a year and a half. And I sucked.
So what made you keep going though? That tells a lot about you. That you just went, okay, I sucked balls and I am going to keep going no matter what, because this is something that I love and this is my passion and this is what I wanted to do. I mean, it sounds like you were ready to you were in the dirt and in the trenches going, screw this. I'm just going to work through this.
Yeah. Well, not to shit on your point, but I quit.
There we go. There's the right answer. No.
And I think, and the reason why I quit is because I had been at it for about 2 years and I was bad. I was really bad. And my daughter had been born and she was about 9 months at the time. And then she started to develop this condition called tracheolaryngeal malacia. And we were in and out of Children's Hospital constantly. And I thought, well, okay, I'm going to take 6 months off and just take care of my family and be a family man and be there for my kid. And then 6 months turned into 10 years. Oh. And I kind of always fell back on, well, if my daughter hadn't gotten sick, I could have been a stand-up. Mm-hmm. And then I think one day it dawned on me. I'm like, oh no, you were using that as an excuse because you sucked. You were using that as an excuse as to why you quit. Mm-hmm. And when my daughter had turned, so she's 15 now. So my daughter was like 11. She was doing gymnastics a lot. She was a competitive gymnast and traveling, and her mom and I were split. So she was gone 1 week at her mom's, 1 week at my house. And I had no girlfriend and I was just kind of sitting around and I hated my job. I was working at a radio station in Minneapolis and just hated it. And I thought, I'm going to go do an open mic tonight and just see what's up and just try and just see what happens. And I went from doing open mics to a year and 10 months later, and I was opening for Adam Carolla at a theater with like 1,500 people. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this was supposed to be a part of my life. It just I was doing it at the wrong time.
It was timing. It was just absolute timing.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, like, I'm starting to, I'm headlining more. I'm featuring more for bigger acts. I'm going out all the time. I'm getting in with clubs, and I'm realizing that a lot of things are all timing. The one who got away. Well, she didn't get away.
It just wasn't the right time.
Wasn't the right time. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, what a story. I mean, it's I was like, and you never quit, and you're in the trenches. And you're like, yeah, I quit.
No, I totally quit. Yeah, I totally was like, I am not this. So there's 2 times that I have bombed terribly. Jeff, do you do stand-up as well?
I don't, but I think my dad tried to inspire me to be a comic whenever he took me to see George Carlin, but I turned to filmmaking and podcasting and more behind the scenes media kind of stuff. But I love stand-up comedy. I love going to shows, love hanging out with comedians and all that good stuff. So mad respect, but I'm not an on-stage kind of guy.
Yeah, Rudy, you guys are, I mean, seriously, mad respect, because that's exactly what we were talking about before. You got to be quick, man. So you're fast, you're, the responses, and it's like you got to deal with all these people in the audience that could be heckling you. That's where I would shut down, I think. I would just be like, whoa, hold on. What'd you say to me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Once you've had those moments early on where somebody does say something and you don't know how to come back from it, and it tanks and it's embarrassing, you do that thing where you're driving home where you're like, God damn it. You know what I should have said was. Yeah. And then you kind of just put that in a little pocket in your brain. And then the next time something like that happens, you pull out that thing that you should have said earlier, and it works. And you go, okay, that's my comeback from now on. And you get, they change through over the years, and they can be topical. And, comedian Adam Ray is really the one who kind of put me on that. Cause he'd always go, dude, when you get cornered, you try too hard to dig yourself out. And he said, there's, one of the best pieces of advice he gave me about that is he goes, hey man, it's called crowd work. Make the crowd work.
Yeah.
So ask them questions, and keep asking questions until they say something so ridiculous, or they say something that it's undeniably weird, and let them bury themselves and then make a remark or react to that. Instead of you trying to be funny, the audience is going to go, no, that's why you're not, no, that's weird. And so that was like a big one, because I had an okay set in Chicago in front of Adam Ray, and then we sat down, and he was like, why do you think that sucked? And then I was like, because I suck. He's like, no, he's like, here's why. He's like, there's a formula to it, dum. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. So.
Okay, so do you write your own stuff, or do you collaborate with somebody on writing your own comedy? I mean, is it hard? I mean, I would think that would be the hardest thing in the world.
Do you buy jokes?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because that's a thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely 1,000% a thing. Yeah. I don't have anybody else write my stuff. I will at times. There's a friend of mine who is one of the best writers that he just won the Roast Battle World Championships in Denver. And when I say now, it's not like down the street at a local brewery roast championships, like the Roast Battle Worlds, like they were flying in people from London, and like he won it. His name's Ryan Neeson, and just a brilliant writer. The guy speaks in jokes. So every now and again, I'll come up with a premise, and I'll be working on something, and I'll go, this just isn't working. And then I'll ask somebody else, hey, I'll text Ryan the joke and go, what's wrong here? And then within, 90 seconds, he sends me back a piece of gold and goes, that's why this sucked. And I went, oh, thank you. But it takes, but for the most part, write all my own stuff. I have a pretty consistent schedule of writing for 30 minutes a day. Whether you get anything out of it or not, I think it's just good to purge your brain. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even have to be comedy. It could just be. Hey.
That's what I was just going to say. Is it almost like it's not like definite? It's not like journaling, is it? I mean, are you just writing shit down, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's kind of funny. What happened during the day? I find it fascinating. That's why I'm asking this question. I find it fascinating how comedy is actually how it comes about. What goes on in the brain of how you write these skits and how you write the actual jokes. So it's like.
Yeah,
I mean,
for me, I have the, anytime I work with a newer comic, I always tell them, like, what's the greatest joke ever written? Why'd the chicken cross the road? That's the best joke ever.
Is it?
Set up. Yes. because it's setup, it's punchline, setup, punchline, setup, punchline. If you watch shows like, and I know people kind of poo-poo on it. I like Modern Family, but if you watch Modern Family, yeah, every line of Modern Family is either a setup or a punchline, and that's it. That's how they write. And Jerry Seinfeld was one that I really, because I don't tell a lot of stories. I do like little things. I'll talk about things in my life, but I don't tell long stories. I'm not a storyteller.
Gotcha.
I'll just kind of hit on something real quick. And for the most part, what I do is I'll write down the setup and I'll write down the main beats of what I want to hit. And then you start to structure it in. But for me, I'm every time I'm going for the goal of setup, punchline, or setup, punchline, tag, 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 setup, punchline, tag, tag, tag. Let the audience come down for a second. Slowly come into your setup and then punchline, tag, 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 tag. So it's like an ebb and flow. Sometimes when you watch comedians, not, most of the people you see with a special are pretty well, fine tuned. But if you go to like an open mic night, one of the things you notice with comedians is it's the same tone of voice. It never changes, the same inflection. It never goes up and down. There's no peaks and valleys.
Monotone. They're just very monotone.
Yeah, and there's no speeding up, and then there's no slowing down. There's no. I do a bit about my grandfather, and part of it's true. Almost everything I write is embedded in truth.
Well, some of it's true.
I'm a big believer in don't let the truth stand in the way of a good story.
Right.
I believe that wholeheartedly. So, but I do a bit about my grandfather, and when I talk about it, he was a big believer in don't live a life of fear. Like you really have to go out and do things. And when I tell this part of the story, I get super quiet. And my grandfather looked at me and he's like, you have to live a life of fear because that is how you live a full life. It's everything that it's confidence, it's fear, it's that combined. That is how you live in a full life. And you can hear a pin drop in the room. And then when you get to the punchline, all that tension explodes. And you're like, that's why you bring everybody down so you can bring them back up again. Yeah. So it takes, but boy, I'll tell you, the first few times you do that joke, it's like, my grandfather said, don't live a life of fear. And he's like, don't live in fear. Don't be scared. Cause then, fuck, this isn't going anywhere. Oh, fuck. God. In fact, my girlfriend gives me shit because I was in Chicago. I do a bit about our Minnesota state flag because there was a big.
I saw that. I like that.
The first time I did that joke on stage at the Comedy Vault in Batavia, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, I got halfway through it and went, you know what? This joke sucks. I'm never going to do this again. Right now, that joke has like 250,000 likes on Instagram.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I canned it. And my girlfriend's like, you need to keep doing that joke. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm, oh my God. I went back and rewatched the tape from that night and just fast forwarded through that. I'm like, no, we're just never going to do it. And then I was with comedian Matthew Broussard that weekend, and he's like, hey, I saw that bit. And then he kind of gave me like a tip about it. And then I went back to the late show the next night, and I was like, okay, now it's starting to assemble. I'm starting to see it. And then one of the big things I love to do is record a set and then watch it with my own eyes, but with no sound, and then just listen to it and then transcribe it. And then go, okay, these are the words that I actually said. This is what the joke should be. And then just cross out all the garbage words. Because, basically what happens is when you're watching a comedian, they tell a joke and then they go, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. What they're just basically just trying to get to the next fucking thing. Their brain is like, what am I going to say? It's going back and forth, And I'm not the first guy who's brought this up. But it's when you tell somebody that and they start watching comics, they're like, oh yeah, no, my friend Billy, he's a comic and all he does is use filler words. I'm like, yeah, because his brain is looking for the next, he's up there doing aerobics in his brain, trying to figure out what's the next words to come out of his mouth.
I would think that would be very hard, as a matter of fact, because of the fact that if you're on stage and you're getting a feeling and you're watching the audience and nothing's happening and you're telling the joke and all of a sudden in your brain, I could totally see your brain's like going, this is bombing, this is sucking, nobody's laughing, this is going to suck. Oh, fuck, what do I do?
It's so hard. It sucks, man. I hate it. But it's all part of it. That's the part of it. I was just
going to say, it's got to be so rewarding though, at the same time.
Yeah, because what happens is you start to, I hear a lot of times like Bill Burr, a guy like Bill Burr will say, it's like, I don't write. I just get up on stage and riff and then I write down notes. Great. Bill Burr's been doing that long enough. I'm still at that level where I can do that a little bit, where I can just go up and just go, oh, I had this thought about a thing and just try it In fact, March 6th, we're doing a show at the House of Comedy at Mall of America that's called Joke Roulette. And it's basically the audience just throws out a word and comedians have to riff on it for 10 minutes.
Oh, how fun.
So yeah, it's great. The problem with Minneapolis is that there's not a lot of comics that are good at that. Like the pool is small. When they do it at the Comedy Store in LA and you get to see 10 guys get up on stage and crush every single time, you're like, well, yeah, because those are seasoned veterans, man.
Yeah.
Like Minneapolis our pool is a lot smaller. But it's great. It's a lot of fun. And I love just the exercise of it. And that's why I also I got it back on Twitter to, just write every day. And then after about 4 days on Twitter, I went, you have to stop being on Twitter.
Oh God, I can't. Yeah. I would imagine no, you can't.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
Man, Twitter is not what I remember. Twitter was fun and
not anymore.
Having a cappuccino today. You're like, hey, do you want to watch two girls get in a fist fight at a McDonald's? And hop on Twitter. And you're like, oh my God, what happened to this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh no, Twitter's changed completely. It's really changed. I'm not even on it. I mean, I have a profile and I don't even participate on it.
Yeah.
So tell me the biggest obstacle for you when it came to comedy. I mean, I know that comedians have obstacles as far as they're going through the ranks because I don't know. I relate it to the acting industry. Mm-hmm. And we have to grind it. It's just meeting the right people, getting into the right, it's timing. And like you said, a lot of it is timing. I mean, is this the same way with comedians? It's kind of timing who how you get there, who you're associated with at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, is that all the same in the acting industry? I mean, as it is, in the comedy world?
It can be. I think maybe it is when you're at a higher level. It's kind of like there's this sweet spot. And I look at maybe guys that are at such a high level, and not to bring them up all the time, but, Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel could not be more opposite, but they're best of friends. And they both at a point in their career where they can go, I don't give a shit if you guys don't think we should be friends. I love this guy and I'm going to hang out with him regardless of his politics. Mm-hmm. Where if you kind of go a little lower down the rung, you kind of get, right now, there's a lot of people that don't hang out with a certain comedian who got canceled and who is trying to get himself back up on stages and they don't want to be associated with him. I know a guy who canceled 10 shows with this comic and just went, I can't be associated with you. When you're at my level, I can just float around. I'm like, everybody out here is a nobody.
The whole cancel thing. I'm like, is that still happening, or is that kind of finally I mean, because that cancel thing killed comedy. Yeah. I mean, I know that. I mean, some of the greatest comedians were like, I don't even know what to do anymore.
Yeah. I mean, for me to chime in for a sec, I love Louis C.K. I think I've seen him live a couple of times, and I still think he's a funny guy. What he did was not at all cool in any specific way, but this is just my opinion, but the only thing that I'll give him props for is that within 24 hours of all of that nonsense to come out, he, especially around whenever everything was blowing up, he was the first one within 24 hours saying, yep, I did it, I'm gone. And then all of a sudden he really was gone, and now he's trying to make his little comeback, but I haven't seen any of his comedy since then or whatever. But at the same time, now I have to, I guess part of the reason is because I now have to take an extra step to go to his website and check it out and everything. And so it's all right, well, there's a lot of other comics for me to check out. So I'll just keep moving on. However, another kind of cancel-esque kind of, and Rudy, you'd be really helpful with this. So Hassan Minhaj just had a joke controversy thing. I'm not too sure on the specifics of it, but I thought he would be a fantastic host for The Daily Show. And he did his own little spot for it. And then this joke controversy came out because he told some other version of what the actual truth was, and then everybody went nuts. But in my mind, I'm like, isn't that what comedy is? It's just kind of another version of the truth. You're telling stories, but you may use these little bits and pieces just to get to that punchline, to get to that setup. Even if it's all true, or even if it's all kind of a lie, it's all in good entertainment and to get a laugh, right?
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah. It's hard to work around that, I would imagine.
Yeah. For me, I have my own set of rules, which is when I'm on stage, I can say and do whatever I want. The second I get off the stage, if somebody asks me about whatever that joke was, I have to give them the true version of where that joke came from. So for instance, for me, like I do a joke, and I always say like every joke I write is embedded in truth. It might not be 100% true, but it's definitely a little. In fact, going back to my grandfather's bit, the bit that I do is he says, when he died, he wanted his ashes to be spread because he was in World War II. He wants his ashes to be spread at Pearl Harbor and then don't live a life of fear. And so I decided to go skydiving. And when I got to Hawaii, I jumped out that plane, and I wish somebody would have told me that skydiving is the worst way to spread someone's ashes. Oh my God, it was a goddamn mess. Now, did I really jump? Did I really jump out of a plane with my grandfather's ashes?
I'm putting that in my will now.
No, yeah, but if somebody were to ask me,
Can you imagine?
Oh my God, yeah, and that's actually part. Oh my God, Jesus! Now part of my grandfather, literally and figuratively, lives inside of me.
Exactly, went up your nose.
Yeah, and so was that a true story? No. What did my grandfather really say? You need to make sure that everything that you're afraid of, you need to go out and do. The things that scare you are things that you have to do. Absolutely. Was he in World War II? Sure. Did he fight in Pearl Harbor? No, he fought Normandy. Like there are other.
Yeah.
So you have to.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. If anybody asks me, I give them the truth. The problem with the Hassan Minaj thing was he told this story and then got off stage and someone went, I don't think that's true. And he went, that's 100% true. And then they said, we got proof that it wasn't. And then that's how
That's what happened.
So yeah. So my rule is in fact, like I always say, like, in my act, I talk about my 3 stepdads. I don't have 3 stepdads. I have 2 stepdads.
Right.
But 2 is not as funny as 3. And I need that third one to add a comedic.
You need to bring them in.
Yeah. Also, remember, my mom's not dead yet. There could be a third one on the horizon.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I always say, like, make sure everything is embedded in truth. But if somebody asks you about it, it is your responsibility to give them the 100% true version of it when the lights
agree.
are, absolutely. Yeah.
So you can embellish on different things and
totally
go a little extra mile and have some fun with it. I mean, the whole cancel culture thing. I mean, the whole cancel when it came to the comedians, I was sad. I was like, oh my God, there goes our stand-up. There goes all of our comedians. I am so bummed because it's like literally so many comedians. It's like so many comedians I watch, it's like they're just making fun of anything and everything, and it's like, nope, can't make fun of that. Nope, can't make fun of that. And it's like, holy shit, where's my set? What do I do?
Yeah. Well, you can even tell, like I was with Joe Mackey from Gutfeld this weekend doing shows with him. And you can definitely tell that we are sort of leaning back towards a much more conservative country. And we are definitely getting back to, hey, man, that was a joke. It was just funny. What it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop taking it so personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Personally, don't go to comedy shows.
Yeah.
Straight up. If you're easily offended, don't watch stand-up comedy. Don't go to comedy shows. Don't pay attention to comedians. Just like, don't do it.
Yeah. Saturday night after the early show, 7:00, we get done and a guy walked up to me and said, you need to remember Psalm 6:19.
Oh, God.
Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. And what was funny was at the end of it, he goes, now he doesn't care if you say fuck or shit, but he cares. And I was like,
no, he did not say that. He did not say that.
I go, dude, I kind of care that you say fuck or shit. I'm a little weirded out right now. Like I'm caring about that. But also like how self-righteous of you to impose your views on somebody else. Like that is, first off, how do you even, we don't have the same God, my friend. We don't. I'm sorry. We just don't. I like you. I bet you're a nice guy. You're wearing a Wisconsin Badgers jersey. So I probably would have sat down and had a beer with you and we could have chatted, but sorry, dude. But now you lost me. And of course, my girlfriend, who is very much like so on the left side of, hey man, don't you be pushing your politics on people. Don't you be, when I went upstairs to the green room and said, oh, you should have heard what this guy, she's like, where is he? And I was like, calm down. Calm. We're going to stay calm. We're going to stay inside. We're going to stay calm.
Point him out to me. Is he
Yeah,
the red shirt dude right there?
She was ready to
One
kill
holding
him.
the Bible.
Exactly. He's in the
guy with-
front row.
He was actually the guy with the flowing robes and the sandals, the grace. That was him over there.
Long white beard.
Yeah. Lori, since I got you here, can we pivot for just a hot
Let's
second?
pivot. Let's
Cool.
pivot.
Don't get me wrong. I could talk comedy all day.
I know. Because this is about you, but let's pivot.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So 43. Like I said, I was a fat kid growing up. The pictures don't lie. Trust me. If you ever seen a 13-year-old in a silk shirt with sweaty armpits and some big old man boobies, I was your kid. Definitely. Yeah. But
usually you grow out of that.
I did. Yeah. When I was 16, I started eating right and started exercising, started hitting the weights, and I was in amazing shape until maybe about 9 months after my daughter was born. When she got sick, it's kind of when things started to tailor off a little bit, just because I was at home all the time and you're stress eating. And then same old story. My daughter's mom and I split up, and then I dropped 40 pounds immediately and got my six pack back because I was like, well, now that I'm on Tinder, I better, start. But now at 43, I've noticed such a major difference in the way that my body handles food, the way it handles exercise. And there is so much information out there, and it's so overwhelming. Do you mind if I ask you some of the things that I'm doing, and then you can tell me if some of this stuff is absolute garbage or not? Okay. So, I love a good fast.
Okay.
Right now,
How long is a good fast for you though?
At like 14 to 16 hours.
Okay.
So typically I'll eat around 2 p.m. Have a meal, not a big meal, a meal, but that's definitely where I would eat some carbs around 2:00. And then no more carbs for the rest of the day. Okay. I'll have a snack typically around like 4:30, try to eat dinner with my daughter around 6:30. Then I go to the club, do a set, go run around town, try to get some sets in, and then come back to the house about 9:00. Then, I do okay with not drinking. I definitely in the past have overdrank every night for a long time. I'm getting better about putting it down. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't think I'm very functioning, but I definitely, that's how you can dictate who an alcoholic
There we go.
is.
Okay. All right.
I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. Do I have a beer fridge downstairs that I'm constantly restocking? Yeah, Of course I am, but I'm not an alcoholic. No, but I'm getting better about it.
Do you drink every night?
Not every night. No, not every night. No.
He's like only Monday through Sunday.
Any day that ends with Y.
I don't. I'm really good about Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. I'm really good about not drinking. My daughter's here with me every night of those nights. Thursday, depending on how the week's been, and depending on if I'm doing a set that night. If I go out and do a set, I'll have a drink because the club I go to is just like, dude, they hand out free drinks like.
What do you drink when you drink?
I usually drink a vodka soda.
Okay.
I love me I love a paper plane, which is
explain. I haven't heard of it. What the hell is a paper plane?
Paper plane is.
Oh my God, I was a bartender and I missed this one.
This is a newer one. It's only come up in the last couple of years.
Okay, good.
So yeah, paper plane is Amaro, Aperol, and bourbon with some lemon juice.
Oh.
I love it. It's delicious.
Interesting.
I guarantee the 2 liqueurs it's nothing but sugar.
Absolutely nothing but sugar.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then my biggest downfall, and especially when I'm on the road and I have nothing going on a Saturday, I get up and I hop on a bird scooter and I put my earbuds in and I go right and I sit at a brewery, and I love craft beer. And that's the biggest one where I know I need to stop drinking.
Jeff is over in the corner doing this.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. No, because I have a craft beer show, so you got to come on.
Oh, yeah. See, I love it. Yeah. And like, I have a bar in my basement. And I think the other problem is, after my daughter graduates, there is talk of like me leaving Minnesota. And one of my biggest issues is everybody I know here, we all drink. We watch the Packers games and then we get hammered and we all hang out. And then my daughter now drives, so I have a DD.
There you
so
go.
It's like, I'm like, yeah. And that's like the biggest issue is I outside of you telling me to stop drinking as much as I am, which I already know I should, obviously.
I want to know what your goal is. What are you trying to accomplish? That's the biggest question here. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
First of all, how tall are you?
5'6".
How much do you weigh?
Right now I'm at 187.
Okay. How often do you work out?
About 4 to 5 times a week.
Is it weight training? Is it cardio, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, so I'll do weight training right away, and then I'll do HIIT sprints on the treadmill afterwards.
Okay, perfect. So what do you want to do? Do you want to drop body fat? Do you want to drop weight? What is your goal?
Yeah, definitely body fat. I'm not a fat guy, and you can definitely I got pecs, I got shoulders, I got biceps, I got the muscle.
Can you lift up your shirt and can I see you?
Jesus Christ, no. Oh my God. Are you insane? Oh, you might as well just have me flash my bank account towards people.
Why not? Why not?
Oh my God.
Come on. Let's see it. I got to see what I'm working with here.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna grab a ruler and measure his cock in front of everybody too.
Lori just wants something to remember for later.
Yeah. Listen,
we'll talk about your penis later, but let's see what we're dealing with first of all before we even go there.
It's 5 miles of bad road down there. I'm not showing anybody that. No, Jesus criminy.
Can you just give me a little skin right here? I want to see what I'm working with.
Yeah, no. I definitely.
Is that why you do it? Dude, he's all shy. Yeah. Look,
dude,
he's got a big old huge sweatshirt on now.
Yes. It's you know what's so funny is when you're first getting into comedy, they're like, you got to find your voice, you got to find who you are, and that's everything. That's your cadence, that's your material. It's how you dress. And I'm like, well, how I dress is black sweatshirt. That is how I dress because I got some love handles that I am not willing to show people.
Okay, so what you're saying is we're dealing with love handles.
Trust me. Like if you were to see me without a shirt on, you would go, "Oh, that was a guy."
Oh my God,
who was
Rudy, I'm
shape.
sorry, I'm interrupting you because of the fact that that was funnier than shit watching you just squirm.
Yeah, because and it's funny because for how much nothing else bothers me. I'm a total open book about it. But the second somebody goes, let's see them jiggly boobies, I'm like, no, can't do it. No, and here's the thing: like I have definition. You can definitely in my shoulders, you can see there's muscle in my. I have that. Remember Lex Luger, WWE, when he would do the pec thing? Because I can do the. I can get him shaking.
Can get him going?
Yeah, but I got that thing where that little zig line on the side of my chest when I flex it, that little line there. So I got that. So
I need to see it.
It's a good base. It's a good base. Listen, at the Corolla Christmas party next year, when I'm half in the bag and I put my foot in my mouth in front of Crystal Hefner, you're more than welcome. I'll goddamn streak down that thing.
There we go. That's
Will
what I want to see.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see, Rudy. That's it. All right. So what you're saying is you want to get rid of some of your love handles and you want to feel confident when a woman goes, "Hey, take that sweatshirt off, baby."
Yeah. Could you please take that clutch sweatshirt off? I'm tired of you getting beard dandruff all over it.
Okay. So, I mean, here's the thing. Your fasting is fine. That's good. Have you ever, I mean, I hate to say this, but everybody's jumping on the bandwagon on this right now. However, it is working because it is for a short amount of time. And that's the keto.
Yes. So I have noticed that, when I did it before, when I was in like my mid 30s and I would just go straight all meat and veggies, I would drop weight instantly.
There you go.
43 takes a little bit longer now.
Okay, look, here's the deal. Where it is, I mean, and the longer you wait, the longer it's even going to be after that. Yeah. So it's like, unfortunately, there is no magic pill. We all know that. There is no magic. How do we do this easily? There's a little struggle. There's a little sacrifice. If there was no sacrifice, then let's put it this way. The glory on the other side, when you have that six pack, you're going to go, look at this, baby. Because you know you worked your ass off for it. I mean, in order for us to get our bodies a certain way, we have to sacrifice. And that's what people do not want to do. They don't want to give up those late night drinking, late night eating, having those potato chips whenever they want, those cookies. They don't want to give that up, but yet at the same time, they want the six pack. Well, it doesn't happen. It doesn't go hand in hand. You've got to be willing to go, okay, I'm done. I want this instead of maybe sitting at the bar all day Saturday drinking craft beer. I mean, start drinking some iced teas, start drinking some other things. I mean, it's like everything to me is in moderation. Okay. Yeah. But if you want to change your body in a certain way, you're going to have to give some things up that might be hard for you, but it'll be worth it once you see it happening on your body. And I think the first month to 2 months is usually the hardest for people because either they don't see it quick enough. It's water weight. The first 8, I always say the first 5 to 8 pounds is always water weight, when you first start dropping. But if you can stay on the path and get your eating, whatever it is, because it sounds a little bit like you know what you're doing and what you need to give up, in order to get that 6-pack back. Yeah. I mean, if you tried keto and the weight dropped, then a quick, easy fix would be, because you're not a heavy guy, Rudy. I'm sitting here looking at you. You're not a heavy guy. What, maybe you want to drop 10, 15 pounds, maybe?
Well, right now I'm at 187, but I've also got more muscle on than I've had in probably 15 years. I've actually put on quite a bit of muscle. Which is
perfect because muscle feeds off of the fat.
Yeah. And so here's my other question. Will I, if I continue fasting at the times that I am, so about 14 to 16 hours sometimes, anywhere in there, will that bring my muscle weight down? And then also, what is a good portion size?
I can't even answer that with you, though, because every portion size depends on the person, their metabolism, how much they're eating in that day.
Gotcha.
Like how many calories are you taking in that day? What time do you wake up in the morning? Do you start your meal? If you're waking up at 5 a.m. and your first meal is at 6 o'clock, then we have to, and then you're stopping around 2, 3 in the afternoon. Fasting is great for you because it resets your body. Certain people will last 24 hours, 48 hours. They'll do those kind of fasts. I personally cannot.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me. But at the same time, if you're just willing to, and you just want to lose some of that body fat, I think a quick little maybe 2-month keto type of situation for you, or it's the drinking. If you can kind of slow down on that, I bet you right off the bat, you're going to drop some weight right away because it doesn't matter if you're drinking vodka, sodas, vodka tonics, straight vodka. It's pure sugar.
Sure.
It's pure sugar going in your body. No matter what alcohol you put in, it is sugar, no matter how you slice or dice it.
Yeah.
And so let's put it this way. I'm not saying to stop drinking because you're on the road, you're with comedians. That's just the way it is. But maybe kind of if you can, have one drink, and then your second drink, have it just be something else like plain soda and water. And then the next drink, have another vodka. I don't know how you want to do this.
Yeah.
But my point is if you can start maybe cutting the drinking in half, right away, you're going to start seeing results. I can guarantee that because of the fact that you're working out, you're doing your HIIT, you're doing your weight training, you're not a heavy guy, and your body's going to respond really quickly to that.
Sure.
But what I did hear is you stopped your carbs around 2, 3 in the afternoon is what I heard. Are you eating a salad or something like that? Or are you strictly stopping food at 2, 3 in the afternoon?
No, so that's actually my first meal is like 2, 3 in the afternoon.
That's your first meal?
First meal. Yep.
I'm sorry, I misheard you. I thought that was when you stopped eating was 2, 3 in the afternoon. So when do you stop eating? At nighttime?
Yeah, typically like 7 o'clock would be the last, typically about there, somewhere in there, 7. Yeah, because I try to have something to eat with my daughter before I go out to go to the club. So it's, typically I got to be to the club by 7:30, 8 o'clock. So we're usually eating by 6:37. And then
are you eating bar food though when you're at the clubs?
Never, no. Unless if I'm at a club for the weekend and then somebody's like, because we were at Off the Hook Comedy Club in Naples, which is basically like a 5-star restaurant that does comedy. I was like, I'm not passing up this. Like we're plowing through some Philly cheesesteaks this weekend,
totally.
Yeah. But for the most part, like when I'm on the road, especially if I am staying somewhere, if I'm at like a Best Western that has breakfast, I'll go down there early, grab a couple of hard-boiled eggs, throw them in a bag, and just wait until that afternoon to eat. Is it better to fast from like 7 at night until 2 in the afternoon, or is it better to fast from 2 in the afternoon until 6 in the morning?
I don't know if there's a real solid answer. The jury's out on that a little bit, but my first instinct is from, I would say honestly, the nighttime going all the way up until 2 in the afternoon.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I thought too.
You stop eating around 7, and then you're still awake, your body's still burning, you're still burning, and then basically you're burning calories even when you're sleeping, you know, and then in the morning you're getting up. Are you drinking coffee? You're drinking something in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay,
I drink copious amounts of coffee.
Okay, well, slow down on that just a tad. But what are you putting in your coffee?
I just drink a black.
Wow, you're a trooper. Damn.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
No, I can't do sweeteners. I can't do sugar. I can't do half and half. I just, if anything, like if I'm on the road and I want a little treat, I'll put heavy cream in my
Okay, so no,
Starbucks.
your fasting, it sounds perfect. If you're stopping at 7 in the evening and you're not eating until 2 in the afternoon, that's perfect. Like I said, the best thing that I would say is if you drop that weight quickly when you went on keto, start the keto back up again.
Gotcha. Okay. Right on. All right.
Start the keto again. Because,
Sweet.
I mean, and again, it sounds like you know how to eat. You just need to kind of get that jump start. And once you have that jump start.
Also, I think I need my girlfriend to break up with me for like 6 months so that I can try to, you know, as my grandfather say, like, I'm looking for trim. Yeah. And I would definitely drop some weight, but she's
Don't be blaming all your weight on your girlfriend.
I know. The problem is she's hot and doesn't care that I'm pudgy. And I'm
no, hold on. By the way, she cares.
Does she?
Do you want me to tell you the honest truth?
Okay. No.
She cares. She cares. No, listen, she cares. But because she loves you so much, I used to get so pissed off at my girlfriend when she used to go, oh, babe, man, I love you no matter how you look. I'm like, really? Really? Would you? Really?
Yeah.
Because I always joke that we have the 10-pound weight limit to where it's like, okay, you got with me when I looked a certain way.
Yeah.
Now, if I gain 20, 25 pounds, are you still going to be attracted to me?
Yeah.
Oh, babe, I love you no matter what. Really? Is that why you're looking at this hot chick down the road?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I mean, let's be real.
Well, that's great, sweetheart, because I was thinking about installing some overhead LED lights, and
There
then
you
we'll
go.
really see how much you are attracted to me.
And I could be way off base, and I'm sure that I'm going to get some listeners going, oh no, I love it when my guy's chunky, or I love it when my girl's chunky. But the fact of the matter is they care, but they just love you a lot.
Sure.
They just love you so much. They're not going to hurt your feelings. But does she want to see you lose 10, 15 pounds? Oh, hell yeah.
Probably.
Every girl wants an in-shape dude unless they really, really, really don't give a shit and they don't work out and their body's kind of like, no big deal. Because it makes them feel better if you're not in that good of shape and they're not in that good of shape, then see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I'm not saying they're miserable, but it's like the misery loves company thing. But mainly the women who don't work out and they could give a shit if their guy works out or not.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, my girlfriend runs like 9 miles a day and she's the size of Tinkerbell. Yeah. Okay.
Then she cares.
All right. Good to know.
She cares. I'll be that friend. I'm going to be that friend for you.
Yeah, I'm going to totally ream that lying bitch right now. I'm telling you right now. Be like, Lori said you care that I'm a fat ass.
Because you're not fat. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You may feel pudgy, but you're not fat.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
it is a little body dysmorphia. I definitely agree.
I think we all have that. Are you kidding? I gained 10 pounds and I feel good and my arms are getting jacked again and everything's great. But then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I miss my six pack. I miss that little tiny waist, and everything.
Yeah.
And I had somebody mention on one of my TikToks the other day and I almost fell over. They went, I don't know, I must have showed my stomach and they were like, oh, getting a little chunky there. I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Whoa, fuck that guy. Jesus, criminy. I didn't know. Wow. All right. I will definitely look closer at the YouTube comments, son of a bitch.
No, that was my TikTok, not my YouTube.
Oh, your TikTok. Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, you're TikTok, you're on your own. But YouTube, I got you.
Dude,
girl.
I know. You got me. You got me on that one. Rudy, thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. I so appreciate it. You taking time out of your schedule. I get to speak with you all the time because of the fact now you're my editor on my podcast. I love that.
Yeah.
And I am so happy I met you. I mean, we've had a lot of fun so far, and I think we're going to have a great road ahead of us.
Absolutely.
And I so appreciate you. Tell people where they can find you and what's coming up next.
Yeah. So Instagram, Rudy_Pavich.com, Rudy Pavich Comedy, bunch of shows coming up. This will already have happened, but I'm opening for Jonathan Kite this weekend in Boston at Beverly, Massachusetts at Alf Cabot. John played Oleg in Two Broke Girls on CBS. Good friend of mine. I'll be on the road with him. And then Adam Carolla shows. I'll be with him in April 19th and the 20th at the Den Theater in Chicago. And then I'm opening for Comedian Tricks at the Denver Comedy Works. That's going to be, I think it's the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th of March. So my website's got all the dates, rudypavichcomedy.com. But yeah, I'm basically booked every weekend from now until I believe almost the halfway through June. So
That's
it's
awesome.
a good problem to have. Yeah.
It is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on my podcast. And to my listeners, because this came from Rudy, this needs to be at the top of the show. And that is, if you enjoy my podcast, please go and subscribe and like. I so appreciate it. And you know what else we're doing, Rudy, by the way, is all the people who join my my Patreon, as a matter of fact, I'm going to start actually I'm going to do a nice little draw probably once a week, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to actually do a nice little rapid fire question with them. So that's going to get my audience a little bit more involved. So That'll be nice as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So please like and subscribe. And Rudy, thank you so much for being on Chillin' with Ice. And this is where legends live on. Thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to your podcast. Remember to follow us on Patreon and YouTube at Chillin' with Ice. And on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me at lori.ice.fetrick. I look forward to chilling with you next time here on Chillin' with Ice.